Hello and welcome back to the Blues Focus podcast with me, Tommy Kelsall, Sam Sheppy, and Josh Fletcher. Good evening, lads. How are we feeling?
Really
Good
good, thank
evening.
you.
Yeah, I do need to work out a better system of how we do the intros, but I've done hosting for a while actually.
I
But
think we're
yeah,
all a bit rusty, aren't we? We're just
we're
dusting
very
off that
rusty.
rust. Like it's just
Definitely.
getting ready for a new season. There's still a few
Yeah.
cobwebs there. So once we're in the full swing of things, hopefully, we'll get a bit more of a rhythm going with things.
Yeah, definitely. Well, in today's podcast, we'll be reflecting on a very positive pre-season for the Blues, following a last game against West Brom. We won 4-1. Very positive results. We'll also be giving our take on the business in the transfer window this summer, including some of the signings like Jay Stansfield. Is he coming? Is he not? Will the rumours ever end? Also, our thoughts on the stadium renovations, such as the new amphitheatre-like field to the outside of the car park. And also our thoughts on some of the other things like the hideous away kit. I'm setting my stall out on that one already. Come at me, Blues fans. And of course, a look ahead to the weekend's fixture against Reading, our first game in League One. A little bit depressing that, but also we'll be finishing this podcast off with Dan Sailsbury-Jones from ITV, who will be coming on to talk about their brand new He'll be coming on to talk about their brand new documentary airing on ITVX soon. I presume it'll be about the season last season. But yeah, looking forward to hearing what he has to say about it. So, chaps, let's begin the 24-25 pre-season. It was a very pleasant one, very memorable one for me personally too, going to Austria and having the Rangers games and everything. But Sam, what do you make to the whole pre-season, and does it give any indication for what we can expect for the season ahead?
It was a pretty decent preseason, wasn't it? Because we've got a new manager in Chris Davis. There's a lot of things to sort out. I think there was a lot of players departing that we kind of thought were going to depart, but then there's also a lot that have stayed that we didn't expect to stay. So it's been kind of difficult for Davis to know properly who's staying and who's going. I mean, we've got a situation at the moment with Longello and Bakuna still contracted to the club, and well, we think Bakuna's gone to Saudi Arabia, but nothing's been officially mentioned yet.
Yeah,
so there's been a couple of moving parts, isn't there? And the first preseason game was out in Austria, wasn't it, where we lost 5-0 to Paderborn. And I still think then that, the whole system was trying to be educated to the team, and there was a lot of youth players that went out to that tour as well. But ever since then, I think we shuffled the pack a bit, brought in some new players, really splashed the cash, haven't we, for the League One side. I mean, we broke the League One transfer record and then broke it again the next day. So that just goes to show the ambition that's coming from the board and what they set out to do, which is this, front foot football, and executed by a coach that has done a lot in the game as an assistant, but now we see what he's going to be like as a full-time manager. And yeah, the games that we've had, 2-1 against Rangers, that was a raucous atmosphere, wasn't it, generated by the Rangers fans. I could see from your vlog, Tommy, that they were well up for it, but we, I guess, rose to that occasion. It was the first occasion really where the fans came into St Andrews with a lot of the changes made, with the new boards up and the sound system and all that stuff. So that was good to see. And then the 4-1 win against West Brom, which was the last game, that was really encouraging, because I think I remember, I don't know if it was 3-4 years ago, we played West Brom in a pre-season friendly, we lost 4-0. I think that was when Bowyer was there, and I was like, this could be a bad season. And lo and behold, it wasn't the best of seasons, was it? But if you win 4-1, you're clearly doing something right, especially against a team that's in the Championship and finishing the top 6 last season.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like we're moving in the right direction, I think, is the right way to describe it all and everything, because you can't really gather too much from pre-seasons, can you? But I think on the 9 new signings, 10 actually, sorry, I've missed off Alfie May off that list. That's actually incredibly stupid. Josh, who do you believe has been the best performer of the pre-season from the 9 new signings that we've made?
Oh, I mean, that's a tricky one, because I think they've all come in really well. I mean, probably the standout would have to be Alfie May. I mean, it finally looks like we've got a clinical striker. I know we had Stansfield last season, but Alfie May, watching him, especially in the Rangers game, the thing I picked up the most on is not only is he so clinical, but the way he was finding different positions. And he was coming at one point, he got all the way to our box just to find the ball. And he's technical play as well. The way you can just hit the ball into him and you can just pass it off. One touch pass. And I was a bit like, I remember Stansfield last season, sometimes the ball would just kind of bounce off him. And a lot of the times he would be running onto balls and hitting it first time. Whereas Alfie May's got a bit more composure about him. I mean, the last goal against West Brom, for example, when he went round the keeper, still got a defender in front of him and thought, I'm just hit it past you into the back of the net. I think he's definitely been the most impressive. A different kind of striker to the ones that we've had before. like Stansfield and Hogan like to play on the shoulder of the defender, whereas Alfie May, I thought he would do that, but he's come more shorter to the ball, and he's almost playing more as like a false striker, and allowing William Williamson. That's gonna get interesting.
What a name that is! Yeah.
Are we just going to call him Thor? Is that what we're going to do?
Thor, yeah.
That's what I want to do.
Are we going to shout that from the stands though? It just sounds like it.
It's allowing him to get more into that target man role. I know he does still come short, and again, he's still technically really sound. But it's having that good dynamic in the team that we haven't really had a partnership up front like that since probably Djukovic and Shea.
Yeah.
But I mean, all the players that we've had so far, there's none of them that I've looked at and gone, we're going to have another Oliver Burke here. Someone
they
starts off well and just, he didn't even start off well, did he?
He didn't.
Yeah, there's none of them so far that I've seen and gone, oh, you don't quite know what you're doing so far. Like they've all come in, they've got in, and it's as if they've been playing with us for years.
100%. Yeah, I was talking on this on the Elm Park Royals podcast that I've just done, and I was just saying that all the players seem fit for purpose. You know, like it doesn't feel like with signings we've done in the seasons prior, it all just feels like, oh, we'll buy them because they're this player and we need them for this position. But it's like we need this position and this role as well, so we'll find a player who can play that role. And I think Alex Cochrane's probably the best role position for me because he plays at left back. But all that he does as well in that role, like he's just got such a form, such a role in that formation. Then all the other players will work in twine with them as well. So I mean, like William Williamson, I thought when I first heard of him, I thought it was like another big centre forward. But to know that he's an attacking midfielder and can drop deeper and everything, like you were saying, Josh, as well, that Alfie May's going to play a bit deeper. Like everybody's just got like a proper role, and that's why I felt like when I was talking to the guy earlier, Matt, his name is, I thought, you know, it looks like we should be on course for winning the league quite comfortably, because he said to me as well, like, with all the things that have been going on Twitter saying that Birmingham City fans are in for a shock and everything, League One's a difficult league. He told me League One's a shit league. Like, you're going to piss the league. And that's coming from a Reading fan as well, saying that, you know, he's seen from the outside in. I mean, like, that just gives me more confidence for the weekend, really. But, yeah, I mean, like, I think you're spot on with that, by the way, Josh. I feel like all the things about that. We have got a link to a certain player called Yokoyama from the J League. But I don't know too much about this guy, Sam, whether you have got a bit of insight about him.
I'm kind of the same with a lot of people where we've just seen a compilation, all of a sudden we think he's the Japanese Messi. To be honest, like some of the movements he has and like some of the goals he scored, obviously you have to take it with a pinch of salt, don't you, because of the league that it's in. But it's someone that I feel fits the bill for what Birmingham are trying to do, like the whole project stuff, right? With recruiting young, a player that will hopefully be in our team for many years to come, and we can sell him on for a profit as well. Because in years gone by, I mean, I'm sure we've had this conversation before on the podcast where how many players have we signed and actually got a profit from in the years gone by? Not many. So I'm encouraged by this type of business. I mean, he looks to be like a winger / striker. And I feel like in a lot of them forward areas, for the first time in a long time for Birmingham, we've actually got proper competition, because I feel like that's the same for a lot of areas on the pitch for Blues in previous years gone by, where there just hasn't been that competition for places. And then players got complacent because of it. I think we kind of saw that last season where there was a bit of complacency from some of the players because they knew they were going to start week in, week out. I mean, not only because of the injury crisis, but because of the lack of talent really and depth. But this season, it looks to be a bit different because of the amount of competition we've got in certain areas of the pitch.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Is there a counter argument to that as well, though, that it could be a little bit bad for the dressing room if certain players aren't getting their way?
Yeah, but I mean, I suppose you look at some of the top teams, like anywhere really. I mean, I know it's like an extreme example, but like your Arsenals, your Man Cities have got like for like replacements in each position, haven't they? And I feel like regardless of what league you're in, if you're the top dogs in that league, you've got to have competition in your team. So then you have those standards to live up to. Yeah,
I completely agree with you. Let's have a look at some of the matchday experiences that have been on offer for Blues this season. So obviously, if you've been keeping up with everything that's been happening on social media, you've been seeing all the renovations going on. Really some stuff that I don't think any Blues fan could have ever imagined had you seen this time last season. But, you know, it's just more of the way that the owners want to go through with it, really. I mean, like, from your perspective, Josh, obviously you go with your family and everything like me. But like, what is it the most important thing that you've seen that stood out for you from these renovations that you're looking forward to when going back on Saturday?
The new sound system is loud. That's the first one. I mean, going to the Rangers game, the Rangers fans were loud, and I mean, you could hear them singing, and then you just heard a boom of the sound system going off. That was the biggest thing that I noticed going to the stadium this season. I know they talked about it last year and how they wanted to improve it. And I think start of the season, it was like, yeah, it's okay. And then towards the end, I remember thinking, it's just gone back to the same old sound system, hasn't it? It's crackling. It's not, you can't quite hear it. And definitely this time it was like, yeah, you can definitely hear it. The new screens that they've got on top of the Gilmerick and the Tilton, I don't know why, but I just really like them. It makes the ground feel bigger. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just because, new flashy screens or whatever, but it is quite nice. I know I've seen somewhere, I mean, don't quote me on this, but there's talks about getting rid of the big screen in the corner, and they're going to turn that into some, maybe where they do the Blues TV or something like that.
I think the Blues themselves were talking about that, so I don't think you're wrong in pointing that out. I think they're looking to, like, you know, how you see those sort of boxes that the broadcasters have sometimes. I think that's sort of what they're trying to make it into, which would be great as well, because whenever we'll watch Blues TV in those horrible days of lockdown, then I think that they were doing just at the back of the Gilmerick, which never looked quite right, particularly with the away fans in there. So I feel like a nice side angle of like the pitch and everything. There's not fans in front of you, having a nice sort of room for media operations and everything. That should look really good. And obviously with the new screens, like you're saying, it should just make the ground feel really big. Just it feels like a project that's coming together quite nicely, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's it. I think their idea of like commercializing the club in a way to try and get the money in, it's clearly working. I mean, walking up to the Rangers game, like I remember those days when we were walking up, getting 16,000 fans in for a Saturday game under Steve Clark or whatever, and it was just like, you're looking around, walking up, and you're thinking, where is everyone? But just walking up to the Rangers game, it was like, yeah, we've got a lot of fans now, and I can't wait till Saturday. Walking up to the ground, I mean, I imagine because it's a 5:30 kickoff as well, people are going to be getting there early as well. So being able to see the fan zones that they've got, I've noticed in the Tilton they've moved the turnstiles kind of closer to the road. So I imagine that's to encourage more fans to go in, because that's where we spend most of our time before the game. We go in, we'll get a drink, and we'll stand actually outside, like inside the turnstiles, but outside, if you will. And I know sometimes last year it was a bit like, it's a bit crowded now. So just moving those back is little things like that, which they've clearly thought of, and that's only going to help going forward.
100%. Sam, it's your first game in a little bit, isn't it? I can't remember what your last game was before.
My last game before was, let me think off the top of my head. I think it was Sunderland, so that was the sellout.
Yeah.
And this one, obviously, again, is a sellout. I mean, for our fans, I don't know what the Reading situation is. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, because I feel like this is, again, kind of the start of a new chapter, isn't it? And obviously we know about the heartache of last season. I think this season's all about putting things right, isn't it? And it's great to see that the fans have really got behind the team already by setting out this game, because part of me thought, what are the attendances going to look like in League One? Because obviously it is a dip. But then again, I spoke to other fans and they've said, if your team's winning every week, which we hopefully will be, it's going to encourage more fans to come along, isn't it? Because we're so used to seeing Blues teams lose more games than we win in a season, especially at St Andrews. So it's going to be a really interesting season. I'm really excited for it because of, as well, the stadium renovations and all the stuff that's happening in the new club shop on Friday opening, the amphitheatre, which I've never even heard that name before, prior to Nick Smith saying it. And a shout out to that guy as well, because he just comes across as so professional, doesn't he? On any of the Twitter videos that we do. And just gets me so excited for going to the ground.
I mean, it's something that we're not used to as Blues fans, isn't it? Hearing like
absolutely not
ambitious pitching to people. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's something about it that just sort of speaks volumes to you when you feel that a club that's never really had like a proper goal and some driven determination towards certain things. But now we're sort of back to square one, or probably even less than square one, being in League One. But, you know, we've got something to aim for this season. And with everything else that's going on top of it, we can just sort of go straight forward after this. So it is great to see, really, isn't it? I mean, like everything else as well that's going on with the signings off the pitch as well. it's just great. It really is. It's really interesting to see. One of the things, however, that I wasn't particularly pleased with was the away kit. I didn't say. I think I said a few things on Twitter about it, but I wasn't like too overly, Twitter-like about it, as I would like to say. But I don't know what your guys' opinions on it, because I'm not a fan of it.
Go on, Josh.
I have like two things that I like in a kit. If it's plain, yes. I don't know what it is. I think having loads of different things. Like, I love this kit. I know it's got a bit of a pattern here, but it's the majority plain. I love that kind of kit. And then, especially for a Blues away kit, I always want a white kit. That's mainly because I know it means we're going to have a third kit as well. And
true.
I always think more kits. Third kits are usually quite flashy and out there. I mean,
yeah.
Hopefully it's not another Tiger kit. But
fucking hell. If it's anything like that.
Yeah, when it came out, I was a bit confused on the green kind of colour, and I thought like, why green, not blue? But I actually quite like it. I can understand why people don't like it, but for me, it was the first thought was, that means we're going to get a third kit. So I was like, when we play Huddersfield away, for example, what are we going to wear? Can't wear blue, can't wear white, got to wear something else. So I really like it. I like the home kit as well this season.
I'm really fan of home kit. A little bit
different. I'm usually not a fan of the stripes going across, but after seeing the players in it, I really liked it. So 2 really good kits for me this season.
Sam, thoughts on the away kit?
I'd actually have to agree with Josh. I do like the away kit. They've titled it, Sequoia? That's the name, isn't it? And it's not your typical like Blues kit. You don't look at it and think, oh, that's a Birmingham kit, the away kit. But I do like it. I like that shade of green. And as Josh said, it will be that funky third kit that you may love, Tommy. You may love that one instead. We may end up wearing that one more in the season. So there's still a bit of hope for you.
I don't know. I don't hate it, obviously, because it is blue shirts and everything. But like, I don't like the green. I understand what you mean by a playing kit, Josh, but also at the same time, I hate like new kit patterns and everything, like those real gradient patterns and everything. That's too. It's like an ISO. If you stare at something for quite a while and the pattern keeps changing in your eyes, that's not a good kit in my eyes.
Because we had like a green third kit, didn't we? That was what the COVID season, right?
That was nice. Yeah, I like that.
And that was all right. I mean, got some decent memories from that. I remember Hardy Dean's header against Rotherham. I think we were wearing that green kit then, weren't we?
Yeah.
He's someone we're going to be facing on Saturday, actually.
Yeah,
because I believe he's at Reading, so that's going to be interesting.
I just think though, like they could have had like a really good opportunity to sort of like just emulate the first kit. You know, they could have just done like a similar version of the first kit, just in inverted colors. Maybe have like if they were going to go for just a white kit, like you were saying, Josh, I think they could have had like the blue sash across the middle of it. But I just don't get the green. Like, when have we ever been a very green team? Really, like we've had yellow in our away kits before. We've had a few red kits and everything. It's something different, so that's why I'm quite. I admire the fact that they're trying something different. But you know, it's all down to subjective taste, really, at the end of the day. But yeah, let's just spin on to the Reading game. There isn't much to talk about in this podcast, and we'll be deadly serious with you all. But yeah, let's have a quick talk about the Reading game. What do we mostly think should happen on the day, and then we'll feel like what might happen if there's the phrase "typical Blues" coming into this. Conversation.
Oh, don't tease me with typical Blues, because that's like a 1-0, isn't it? That's like a 1-0 Reading. But from the game, I mean, you look at Reading last season. Like, obviously they got all those points deductions, didn't they? And I think they've had 18 points deducted from in the last 3 years. So they've just really had a tough time of it with their owners just completely neglecting the club, not paying the debts and all that kind of stuff. So shout out to Reading for that, because obviously we know what it's like having crap owners, and I'm sure a lot of the teams in League One do. A lot of big clubs that have fallen down the football pyramid and had to build themselves back up because of dodgy owners. And there's a lot of that in this league, and Reading's one of those teams. And looking at them, they finished outside the top 6 last season. I mean, all the way down in 17th, but actually outside of the top 6, they scored the most goals in League One. So they've got some good strikers up front. The likes of Harvey Nibbs and Sam Smith both got 16 goals in all competitions last season. So they know where the back of their net is. Ruben Sellers is their manager, who I think a couple of seasons ago was managing the Premier League, wasn't he, for Southampton? So he's a coach with some decent pedigree, but I feel like it's a game that we have to win to kind of set the ground running, don't we, for the season, because there is a lot of expectation, and we just know what it's going to be like if we don't take the lead within
Yeah.
the first 15, 20 minutes, you're all of a sudden going to start hearing, get it long, stop looking around at that.
Could it be a bit like the Leeds game, Josh? You know, the Leeds game started last season. It's like if we win, that everything's sort of away with the idea of what could happen for the season. Because if you remember rightly, at the start of last season, we were quality. We didn't lose a game until what? How many games into the season?
I think it was like, it was 5 or 6, something like that. I could expect that, to be fair. I think the Reading game's going to be a lot tougher.
You think?
I don't know why. In my head, I kept thinking after the Rangers game, I was like, if we don't win 4-0 against Reading, then we haven't done well.
Right.
But then, like, reading more into Reading, like, obviously you say they got the 17th finish last season. I think without the points deduction, it was something like 15th. So they would have been a bit more away from there. Obviously, as Sam said, they scored a lot of goals last season for a team so low down. And they haven't really lost many players, I don't think. I think they are the only team in the EFL not to sign a player. But I think that's more to do with their ownership.
Yeah,
they've
got rules, which means they can't sign players,
well, there you go.
Which is just the ownership situation, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, because they haven't lost many, I'm expecting the players to know what they're doing, to be quite resolute. So I do think it'll be one of those where it'll be a while for us to kind of break them down. But I do think once we get that first goal, I'm expecting us to kick on. And I think if we get a good performance at the start of the season, that will cause us to fly. I think obviously fans already think that we're going to win the league. I think almost every podcast that I've been listening to or everyone that I've seen online has said, Blues are going to walk the league. Yeah. And I'm kind of expecting us to. I think walk the league, I wouldn't say that because it's Blues at the end of the day. But I've said that I think if we don't win the league this season, we've failed. I don't want automatic promotion. I want to win the league.
I agree.
Because I think, and as the owners are doing, which you can say it's right or wrong, but by the signings they're making, this season isn't what they're thinking about. It's next season, really. They're hoping that this season will go, and then hopefully we do an Ipswich, and it carries on to next season. And I think a good start against Reading, it's what we need.
Yeah, because I mean, we're a massively confidence team. I think you would all agree on that. It's the fact that 100%. Once the confidence is with us, there is no one to stop us. But as soon as we hit like a little bit of a barrier or anything, then it's a bit difficult.
I think that's what happened last season, really. Yeah. I think the Rooney thing just took all confidence out of the team. I think Mowbray came back in, got that confidence back. Then he left and confidence dipped. And it was only really towards the end of Rowett in those last couple of games the last 2 games really, where the confidence came back up. Yeah. And by then it was too late because I think all the other teams around us were getting points. Their confidence was building. So definitely a confidence thing, not only with the players, but the fans as well. Yeah. You can see it when obviously it's a sellout against Reading and the fans will be loud. Very loud. They'll be with the team, and if the team produce and perform the way that we're all expecting them to, then it's going to be a fun year, I think.
Yeah, I really hope as well that a lot of the players that have perhaps been with us for a few seasons see the fact that we are a really good club as well, because once we're in the good mood and everything and we're playing right, as fans, like there is just no one else like us really. Like we're so passionate, we're very loud and atmospheric and everything. So it'd be nice for them to suddenly see that we can be like just as good as a fan base as any other team in the country, really, because we've had some terrible seasons and we've all been flattened by it all. So if we have a really nice positive season, and then hopefully that's what they'll see. But Sam, what do you believe will be like our strongest 11? Because that's going to be interesting to find out in the next few weeks. What is our strongest 11? Who plays where? What is exactly we need to put out each week? Because I mean, I'm a strong believer of the fact that if we play a consistent team week in, week out, then your confidence builds and the wins just keep on coming then.
I think for me, it will probably be the same team that started against West Brom. I imagine. I know obviously Clara that he's on the bench, isn't he? And he's the £4 million centre back. But I feel that Bielik and Sanderson have started next to each other, obviously back end of last season, and then for most of this pre-season. So I feel like to change something that drastic, I guess, as the first day of the season where it could easily go wrong, I feel like it'd be better just to ease him in a bit, starting maybe in the cup game against Charlton and then working from there. I feel like Bielik and Sanderson at centre back is probably what's going to happen, because there was a bit of a worry about Bielik, wasn't there? Because he came off at that West Brom game, but then he did post, didn't he, on his social media that he'd be fine. It would be like a couple of days and then he'd be good to go. So it looks like Bielik and Sanderson at centre back. And I think the position on the wing, it's either going to be, was it Dembele or Hansen? And it looks like Dembele's got the nod for now, but I could see that easily changing.
Yeah, I personally believe that Hansen will start just to get the feel of what the crowd's going to be like, really. I feel like on that left-hand position as well, but also Dembele as well. Like, he's an interesting one, because whether he's, is there any more rumours of him leaving? Perhaps, there's.
I know Championship clubs are in for him, and this is actually a really interesting topic, isn't it? Because there's a lot of fans on social media that have said, like, if Dembele wants to go, then let him go, kind of thing. But I feel like there's still a lot of untapped potential with this guy. He was signed for promotion chasing Bournemouth. He's played in the Premier League, and I feel like he's still got so much to give in a Birmingham shirt. And I feel like he was a victim of so much change last season at the club, and he never really got a settled run in the team under a settled manager, because Eustace was kind of building his system around Dembele, so he didn't have to necessarily put in the hard yards. And I know in this team it's all about the front foot pressing and the hard yards, but he's clearly got ability going forward, and he's clearly too good for League One if all these Championship teams are in for him. So I feel like if the transfer window closes and we can keep hold of him, that's a real positive. And it looks like his brother could be joining as well, so that'd be an interesting thing.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's been a while since we had like a proper brother combination at the Blues. Obviously, we've had like Gardner and everybody like that, but like having like both Dembele's, I'd be happy with that. That'd be incredible, really, particularly in a few of those Bristol Street Motors games. It'll be interesting to see how them.
Dembele's are just always good, aren't they?
Yeah,
they're always good. They're
naturally just good players.
Just the cheat code.
Yeah, I personally think though Hansen will start just to see what he's like in front of the crowd and everything. Dembele as well off the bench. Fuck me, like how the hell are they going to deal with that?
Strong.
So I feel like that might be a wise idea. Alfie May will definitely start. Williamson will definitely start. I think Bielik and Sanderson, I agree with that. I think though, one perhaps topic of discussion, goalkeeping wise, do we know who like we believe should be starting? Whether it should be Peacock Farrell or Allsop? I
think it'll be Peacock Farrell. I mean, he started most pre-season games. At the start of pre-season, I would have said Allsop. I think we're going to play. We're going to play obviously ball on the floor, possession football. And watching him at Hull, he was very much that type of player that, as a goalkeeper, you could give him the ball, and he was almost like another outfield player. And a lot of the times, watching Hull last season, it would you give him the ball, and the attackers would stop pressing, and it would be like, oh yeah, keeper's got the ball, he can't do much with it, and he'd just take a couple of steps and then play like a pinged pass to someone. And because they don't think goalkeepers are that good. And I thought, oh yeah, we could use that. But I've been surprised with Peacock Farrell in terms of his footwork against Rangers. First half, there was a couple of times I was a bit like, ooh, a little bit nervy. And then the second half came round, and there was a moment where the ball just got played, and there was about 5 passes that were being played. And I was like, oh yeah, it's not like nice to have Allsop in goal now. And then it was like, wait a minute, Allsop's warming up. And I didn't realise he was sitting on. I was like, oh, he's clearly just needed that confidence of the first half. So he's clearly good with his feet as well. So I think being the younger goalie moving forward, I think Peacock Farrell will be the goalie going forward. But I mean, it's a great two to have, really. If Allsop, I would imagine will play against Charlton in the Cup. If he has a really good game, put him in the team. I think that's what Chris Davis will do this season. I think it's a lot of...
It's kind of like what you were saying, Sam.
Yeah,
it's competition. I think it's a lot of even in the goalkeeping position.
Yeah, if you have a good game, there you go. You'll have it in the next game, and it, as you say, breeds that competition which we need. I think we saw it with Ethan Laird last year. Drame, Laird, we had that competition. They were both amazing, and then when Drame stopped playing towards the end of the season, I think that might have been because he was a lone player. Didn't think we were going to keep him, and it was just Laird. Even when he was playing poorly. Drame never came in, and it was like Laird just had, oh yeah, it's my position. I'll play how I am. It's
also why it's really important as well. So whilst we're having competition, but we've also got depth as well. So when one player got injured for us last season, it was like, well, the other player's got to play, But where we've got other players who can play loads of different positions, there's so much adaptation, really.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's it. We've brought those kind of players in, really, that can adapt to different players. Like I thought about it earlier that if we do get Jay Stansfield, which it's seeming more likely that we won't because it's going on longer and longer. I even thought Alfie May plays in the number 10 for Charlton, or did before, you could have Stansfield up front with Alfie May just in behind him if you wanted to, if Williamson gets injured. But even then, we've got Donovan, George Hall, Anderson. You could move Miyoshi into there and have a Hansen and Dembele on the wing. Imagine that. So
that'd be amazing. That
definitely lots of different options in this team, and that comes from the depth and the competition that we've got.
100%. Yeah, that's one thing that actually, now that you mention that, actually, I really hope that they get the squad numbers right this season, because we haven't had like a proper good looking number 9 for ages. I really want it to be Alfie May, so I'm hoping that on Saturday he's gonna be number 9.
I think he likes number 20 though. I'm sure he had it at Charlton.
Well, he shouldn't. He should like number 9.
It's like, maybe
Listen to Tommy, get number 9.
Maybe they're saving it for a certain J.
Well, if that's the case, then perfect. But if we can't get Stansfield, then make Alfie May number 9, because I grew up as always wanting to be the number 9. I love Forsell, and everybody had number 9 on my back all the time when I was a kid. So I want a proper number 9 back. Would love
just
it
aesthetically pleasing, isn't it, to see?
It is, yeah. When I saw Hansen in pre-season with number 7 on his back as well, it's just sort of like you look the role when you have a proper number, in my opinion. And I feel like with Bielik, when he had number 31 a few seasons ago, it never quite fitted. When you gave him number 6, it looked like, there it is, that looks proper. Same with Sanderson as well. You give him number 5, he looks proper as well.
They feel like a first team player, don't they? Rather than just someone that's in for...
It's like if Ethan Laird was number 22, wouldn't look quite right with it. But you give him the number 2, that's official, it's proper.
Yeah.
So I feel when you give him foolish numbers, really, like 20, he might like it. I know he might like it, but he should like the number 9.
He should like it.
He should, because you just look better, in my opinion, really, when you got that because the kit as well looks like proper Blues this season. You got the right numbers on the back. We look great as a team. Like everything just looks like professional. It looks slick. And it gives a good feel for the fans as well. So, like, when it comes to, like, I know this sounds ridiculous, but, like, when, like, things are going wrong, those small little things, they eat away at the back of your mind. So when I'm watching somebody like Dembele lose the ball in like Saints last season, and he's got the number 17 on his back, I'm like, well, that's annoying, just a one start. And then got the other thing on the other start. But, it's little pathetic things like that. But anyway, moving away from... that amazing.
It's just funny then, because I've never like properly paid attention to it, but now that you said it, I'm actually going to look out for it.
Yeah, you got to believe it though, haven't you? Because like as soon as it's like players wearing pink boots. As soon as I see them, piss taker he is. He's yeah. Oh god. But score predictions. What are we going to go for? Because there's a few actually coming up. We might do a few more predictions. So we do should we do the first sort of 3 games that we've got? So Reading, Charlton, and Wycombe.
Let's do it. Yeah, I think first game of the season, Reading. I'm going to go with 2-1 Blues. I think it may be one of those ones where we come from behind. If I'm being honest, like Reading just get an early goal. It takes us a while to get going, but then once we do,
I know what you mean, yeah,
we get like a winner in the last 10 minutes, something like that. Someone off the bench, maybe that. And then the next game would be Charlton, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm. So that's a League Cup fixture, that is, yeah.
Yeah. So that game we could see, the likes of is it Clara or Clara? I don't know how to pronounce it.
I've been calling him Clara. I think that just sounds
that's what I'm leaning towards. So I reckon he'll start in that game, all top in goal, like Josh said, and a few other alterations. And I reckon, we'll scrape through that 1-0. I think it may take a while for those players to properly gel and get things going, and for Chris Davis to figure out his best 11 as well. And then for that third game of the season, help me out, Josh. What do you think?
Wycombe's a weird one. I mean, I'll go Reading. I'm just going to go 4-0 because I want it to happen.
Yes, and you'd be disappointed if it's 3-0.
If it's 3-0, I'm disappointed. Charlton, I think I could see like 2-0, 2-1. Dukey up front. I can see him scoring on a break.
Dukey in the high press.
Let's go 1-0 up the first half, and then I think we'll break away towards the end, or it'll be like a corner or something that Duke will get head on. So I'm thinking 2-0 there. And then the Wycombe game, 2-1. I'm thinking. I think probably we score first, they come back into it, and then we get one towards the end. Maybe they try and pass it around the back or something. We just nick it off them and then score something like that. But I'm thinking definitely a tight game. But Reading, I want us to go all out. I want us to really smash them.
I think we will as well, to be quite honest. I'd be bloody amazed if they won against us at home with everything that's been happening. I think a 3-0 really could happen. I think that's what a possibility is. I think we'll get 2 in the first half. I could see it happening very similar to the Coventry game, actually. Where we're just all over them, we're overwhelming them.
If we get the first goal, then I think we're definitely winning.
Exactly, that's why I can see it happening.
Straight away, fans be up. No chance
Yeah.
winning. But
I don't know much about the Charlton game in particular because they're not a bad side, Charlton, and obviously it's a League Cup game. It's an early League Cup game as well. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm really not too sure about. I think we'll win. I won't be too annoyed if we lose because it's the League Cup. We never really get good fixtures in the last few seasons as well. We sort of just wait for the FA Cup really to see if we get anybody good. So regardless, whatever happens to that game, I won't be too annoyed. And then Wickham, I'm sort of in the same boat as you, Josh, because I don't know that I only have ever watched one Blues Wickham game, and it wasn't in the season that we played them when they got promoted because I was at work for both of those games, amazingly, in lockdown. I know
we didn't win either, did we?
Fucking absolutely appalling. We lost the first game 2-1 because I remember it coming through on my phone, and we were a goal up until like the 80th minute or whatever, and then we draw 0-0 away.
I don't remember anything from that away game. I know we lost the home game though.
Yeah. But the only game I've ever watched of Blues Wickham was when we played them in the Cup back in 2008, and we won 4-0 there. I think so. Mehdi Nafti scored. I remember that one well. Larson Jerome and Quincy Owusu-Abayi scored as well. That's how long ago we're talking now.
That is some Blues knowledge right there.
Team. I mean, those are the Blues games I remember the easiest. Honestly, it's like core memories they are for me. But yeah, I'd love to see a replica of that type of game. I don't think obviously Wickham fans will know, but I don't know. Do they still play at the same ground? Have they had moved stadiums since?
Adams Park, I think Wickham play at, because I went there like a couple of years ago, and it's if you picture a League One ground, that's what the ground is.
Yeah.
Like in the politest way possible. But going back to that game, Tommy, the one that we beat Wickham in the Cup, was that the one with the red shirt?
It was, yeah. So we had the white and then the red in the middle.
That home kit is my favourite home kit. That is my favourite home kit.
Yeah, absolutely great. But yeah, now I think this is the time to move on to our next segment of the video, which will be bringing in Dan Sailsbury-Jones from ITV to talk about the new documentary on Blues. Pause this one for 1 second. Welcome to Blues Focus, Dan. Yeah, I think we should be good enough. They always bark at people, so it should be fine. Yeah. So we'll go 3, 2, 1. So welcome, Dan, to the Blues Focus podcast. Obviously, with the release of the new documentary that's coming out very soon, would you care to give us a little bit of context for what's going to happen in the documentary?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's released tomorrow. We hope on ITVX. All going well. It is a look back basically over the last year at Birmingham City since the takeover. We hear from it's interesting because we over the course of the year we heard from so many of the key figures involved, like Tom Brady and Tom Wagner, and so we use some of those interviews, but also have fresh interviews with Gary Cook looking back over the year, and with the new manager Chris Davis and some of the players. And I think that the reason that we did the documentary is because we've been so blown away by the reaction to relegation. There's so much positivity there, and I think that is interesting to non-Blues fans. Why is everybody so positive and excited after a relegation season? And obviously you've got global superstars involved in it. It's not Sunderland till I die levels of mistakes and things going wrong, but it's going to appeal to people that aren't just Blues fans, whilst at the same time I think you'll watch it and you'll be really excited for the season and you'll feel a proper sense of pride.
Yeah. I mean, have you been surprised by like the sort of the business by the owners and actually anything? Because like if you remember Blues before the American owners took over and BSHL and everything, have you been surprised how professional they come across? Because as for Blues fans, like we've never seen this sort of level of of optimism, like you're saying, like the documentary's title and everything is literally linked in with that as well.
Yeah, I mean they have a a massive vision for the club, don't they? And they have a you know, and obviously they've made mistakes along the way. Let's not say it's all been amazing, but in the main, it really has been, particularly from where it's been before. And they seem to engage with supporters really well. You know, I mean, one of the well, I'd probably say actually the star of this show is Linda Courts, who's the head of Redditch Blues. She you see the tears in her eyes when she's talking about Tom Wagner, because he gets the football club so much and it means so much, that somebody with that ambition has chosen Birmingham City to take them forward to, you know, what they hope is a really, really significant future. And you know, you can see why they've done it. I don't think there's that many people questioning, you know, why Birmingham City, because actually when you think about it, the size of the city, the name, and all that goes with that, it does feel like there's a lot of potential there, and that's certainly something that they obviously want to tap into.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, hi Dan. I just wanted to ask. Oh, sorry, no, Josh, you want to go for it? Eh?
No,
I thought this might happen.
Yeah, I was just going to say, is there anything that maybe has surprised you about the new owners since they've come into the club? Obviously, getting to talk to them and doing this documentary. Is there anything that surprised you about them?
I should say that I haven't personally spoken to Tom Brady. That was the a bit more from the ITV Sport interview that was used at the start of last season. But it's still fascinating to listen back to that, and his enthusiasm for it. I think with Tom Wagner, he's so open. That's the thing that I got from it, is that, you know, you can literally ask him anything, and he's, you know, yeah, I'll have an explanation for it. And you know, his openness, particularly around the new stadium and the plans for that, he is so confident and so at ease with this project. I think that is really, really impressive. I think that there is, you know, I think Gary Cook came into the football club. He probably wouldn't have come to any other club had it not been Blues, and he was a fan of Birmingham City. And yes, we know that there were the Rooney thing didn't go to plan, but he is working so hard. You know, he says in this, you know, that he remembers coming back from Cardiff away last season, 4:00 in the morning, and he's on the phone to the owners. You know, they are so determined to get it right, and you know, and I think that fans, you guys are buying into that clearly with ticket sales and the enthusiasm for the new season.
I just wanted to ask about some of the different documentaries that have been made on football clubs. I mean, obviously we've seen the success of stuff that's happened with Sunderland, Wrexham, the All or Nothing Amazon series. So with Birmingham, what do you think it is about their fan base that stands out to you and really wanted, you know, to make a documentary about them and cover their story?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is not on the scale of the Wrexham one, where, you know, there's literally cameras every single step of the way, and to an extent is in-house. I think with Wrexham, this is much more of an independent piece, although we have worked with Blues on it and they've given us some good access, as you'll see. But I just thought that this story had all the good elements to it. It had the excitement and the star power, and it had the you know, it had things going wrong as well, frankly. And, you know, you think about it, was through watching Sunderland Till I Die that got Rob McElhenney interested in making a documentary about a football club, that then led to Wrexham and everything that's happened there. So
yeah,
so is that, you know, it's not just things going well that makes a good football documentary. And, you know, most of the time, most clubs in the country, things don't go well, things go wrong.
Good point, yeah.
And you know, it's how you respond to that. And I've just been, blown away by Blues' response and the the way that you guys can look ahead to the new season.
Yeah, because it is like a documentary that, because we haven't really seen much from like inside the Blues or anything. Like we've kind of seen stuff that happened with Man City and everything in All or Nothing documentary, but like in other teams as well. That's what's kind of like the interest that you get from those smaller team documentaries. I mean, there's a whole subculture on YouTube and social media where people just go to really smaller teams and just look in and find the interest out about that. But really, as a Blues, well, as a Birmingham City documentary, what can Blues fans look forward to in terms of what it actually goes into?
I think that it's the good thing is it isn't just you're not just going to watch yourselves get relegated again. There's a lot more to it than that. And we talk about the context of it and the last 10 years of decline, and you get that sense of why it means so much to have these owners that care so much about the football club. Yeah. We hear from Paul Devlin throughout as well. He's commenting on the year as it goes by, and there's just a really touching moment where he talks about not playing anymore and missing it, and you just can't replicate playing in front of 20,000 odd fans at St Andrews all singing your name. You'll never get that again. And so saying to the players, you need to grasp that. You need to understand the opportunity that you've got.
Yeah.
And then from within the club itself, it's amazing to hear again from Brady and from Tom Wagner, but also this interview with Gary Cook, where he talks about how he was actually quite fearful about the reaction after the season, and how he's just been blown away by it, and how the fans have got on board with it. And I think he's genuinely really thankful for that. Also with the new setup, Chris Davis, just such a good talker and getting everybody excited for the new season. And then a couple of the new players as well we've spoken to. I mean, Alfie May, just such a great character. And I know a lot of, you guys will know the story already about him being a timber framer and stuff, but he just kind of opens up about that and explains why him running around on a football pitch really isn't that difficult. That's easy, and the players owe it to the fans who pay good money that they're earning throughout the week to go and watch them. So it's the least that they can do to put in a shift, and that I think really does cut through with Blues.
Yeah, because we're quite a working class fan base and everything, so we're driven from those roots ourselves, and like I think that's what's kind of been the key point with Blues in particular over the last few years, is the fact that we have had such a you and Sam, Josh and Sam, you guys know obviously how difficult it has been supporting the Blues in these last few seasons. So I think to answer sort of like that sort of question of the fact that why we're so optimistic is because I think the owners are so optimistic as well, and they're bringing people that we can relate with into the team and to the framework and everything. And like we're obviously looking into it, using your documentary as that point where you're comparing the optimism between the two. Like even though we're in a worse position, we're in a better position at the same time, because we've got that framework to work with. We've got a goal for the first time in such a long time. We can work back to it. We can get back into the championship. So I think I'm really looking forward to seeing the documentary and everything. But obviously we know that you're a journalist and not a football fan or anything. But does this sort of put you in?
Well,
what do you? Well, I'm a Birmingham City fan, I did me. But what does you from everything that you've done in this documentary? What do you think will happen to the Blues over the next few seasons?
Look, one one phrase comes out quite a lot in this documentary, which is typical Blues. And
we're all very aware of it. Yes,
you're all.
We use it on this podcast literally like 10 minutes ago.
That's what we'll call the podcast. We've been working on what we should be calling it all day. That's what we'll call it, typical Blues.
And do you know what is actually almost going to be the title of this documentary? And then somebody said, "Well, nobody wants to watch something that's typical." So we came up with Going Down Winning, because you won on the last day of the season, and also it feels like everything off the pitch, you are winning. It feels like a club that's winning at the moment despite being relegated. And I think that they are serious about these plans, and they are, you should get promoted from League One this season. I think everybody knows that. And maybe that won't go right. I don't know. But at the moment, from what I've seen in pre-season, they seem to have a calmness about them. I don't know about you, but the West Brom game at the weekend, I thought it was actually quite emotional, actually, at the end of the game. This is a pre-season friendly, but actually the thousands of fans that clapped those players, and I felt like, that was an emotional moment where they were saying, no, actually, we believe that you guys are going to be the ones that get it right and turn this round for us. And I thought it was beautiful. And I do think that they get that. And so, you then go into the Championship. You've seen what Ipswich have done. I don't think there's any reason why you can't be doing that and being up and around there. And then you get into the Premier League. Then you have, the new stadium starting to go up now. So then you become even more attractive. And then who knows what's possible. Obviously, you've got the limitations of the FFP. You can't be a Manchester City anymore. And also, as rich as United are, they're not a nation state. So, I don't want to put a limit on it, but also I don't say that, in 3 years' time, you're going to be in the Premier League, and in 4 years' time, you're going to be in the Champions League, because we all know that anything can happen. But
100%, yeah.
But why not be optimistic? And when you can be optimistic, you've got to enjoy those times, because we all know that there's plenty of times where you have to be cynical.
100%. That's football for you as well. But it's nice to know that, so if even from somebody looking from the inside in, from the outside in, sorry, that it looks as if we've got a plan, we've got a future. We're not just going to get stuck like we have been for the last 10 years. Because I imagine when looking into those decades of decline that decade of decline previously, because obviously from winning the Carling Cup in 2011 and finishing 9th in the Premier League the season before, that I imagine there probably wasn't much to talk about in that period of time, but also that it's a very key part of where you come from to get to this position for the season, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I was at Network News prior to 2022, so actually, the only managers I've known are all in this documentary, because I joined when Eustace was in charge, and so. But even then, you could sense that they were firefighting, and it was really, really difficult. I mean, I remember being quite confused by it though, because I don't understand it, because Birmingham has the name of the second city. You have all these supporters, a lot of history, and yet it never seems to click. And obviously you were seeing the success with that Villa have had, and yes, historically, and this is probably not the podcast to say this on, but historically Villa have been the bigger club. But I've always thought is that certainly that potential for that not to be the case. And I think that that's a dangerous thing for me to say, but for Villa fans, they're not going to care. They're in the Champions League and so I just felt that it is a club that, if everything gets sorted and gets right, it can be a proper force. And I think if all goes to plan over the coming years, you are going to see that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, you can definitely say that Villa have always been the bigger team than ever Blues. I mean, we're all Blues fans on this podcast, but we know the truth as well at the same time. But yeah, I mean, I don't know whether you two have got any more questions, but I just feel like that at the end of the day, though, that the documentary is going to show up really interesting things about the club and everything. So, with everything that's gone on and everything, I feel like that's a perfect way to see how the documentary is going to go. But yeah, really appreciate you coming on, Dan, to talk about everything that's going to go on in the documentary. Would you like to give a little bit more details of where we can find it out and what time it might be on as well?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, like you say, I think we could have chosen any team in the Midlands to do this on, and the fact that yours is the most interesting story over this last year, I think, should give you some excitement, and I hope that it won't just be Blues fans that watch it. I think it'll be wider as well, and as I say, I think that'll be interesting to see what the reaction is. But it'll be available on ITVX. I'll post it tomorrow, and I suspect it'll be around 5 o'clock, but certainly tomorrow evening.
Wonderful, yeah.
You'll be able to watch it and get very excited for the new season.
Well, that's all we want to hear, because we've just been talking about how optimistic we are all for the season. So it's nice to see that we're not all deluded in what we're about to say and everything. So yeah, ITVX 5 o'clock tomorrow, hopefully, for the Going Down Winning documentary on ITVX. Dan, massive thank you for coming on, and also thank you, Sam and Josh, for tuning in, for joining me again. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Blues Focus podcast. We'll be back sometime after the Reading game. I know we're not been keeping very consistently lately. We will try and do it as much as we can. But the vlog's coming out on Saturday evening as well. Hopefully everything goes to plan and we win and everything. But yeah, in the meantime, thank you guys for watching, and keep right on.
Keep right on.
Keep right on.